So this is an idea that just came to me today. And the basic idea is that when people are walking around, people trip and fall on black ice all the time. There's also a ton of dangerous road conditions that you just can't see that there's ice there. However, there's some things when they get water on top of them or stuff gets frozen on them, they change color, sometimes quite dramatically. And I want to bring up an example from nature of a jewelweed. So I can't find the perfect picture online, but I'll go through some. But jewelweed kind of looks bland and boring when it's not wet. I mean, here's some pictures of it not being very wet. And it's like a normal greenish leaf, like grass. When it gets wet, it starts getting a silvery color that you can kind of see in some of these pictures. In real life, it's more spectacular. I just don't know why it's so avoided here, but it's a well-known property of this leaf. And the reason for that in this particular leaf is that water on the surface of this leaf is super repelled. And I mean super repelled, so that the water instead doesn't really soak into the leaf. It forms little droplets on top. And these droplets that it forms on top, a bunch of little droplets here and here, all just bend the light so it bounces off and hits the water droplets, and water droplets, these are little water droplets, or the surface of the water that doesn't touch the leaf, acts like a lens that just bends the light in random things, like you know how like a DVD player makes a rainbow because it has all those tiny scratches, or if you have a lot of tiny little water droplets, it can disperse light and like bend it. Same idea, but it gives it a glistening silverish color because of just the size, and it bending it back on it. Another thing that these things can do is, besides repelling it, is that water has when you have these microstructures, water has a much higher refractive index than air, which means it bends light much more. On small scales, bending light can change the colors of material. If a light can get trapped in a material if it bends too much, you can imagine that it hits a hill here normally, if that's air, it just bounces back, but it gets bent so much that it hits the hill again, it hits another part of the hill, another part, and gets trapped and absorbed. Or it can bend right out of it and be more reflective at certain light waves, instead of hitting it and not bending as much and getting more trapped in the hill. You can know all possible scenarios, but what if we design a surface that when wet, it bends light, it is a different color, starts glowing even. And we could do it with this technology by just putting a bunch of small little things, particles of different morphologies that all just repel water really well, or even attract water, just so the surface of the water when it interacts with a material is not even and has bumpies and has a bunch of little bumps. Then it would glow and stuff, and then people could see it more easily and less likely to trip on it. Now this is all just an idea I came up with. I do not know if it will work well or how easy it is to implement it. I know a bunch of people looking into making surfaces that also ice doesn't freeze as well easily on or attach. So that could be part of it. But I think it's definitely something to think about, especially with how many people get slipped and injured every year in car accidents. Well, thank you very much for listening to me. Please like and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions for me, leave them in the comment section below, or if you know my contact, feel free to DM me. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year, which is really hard, but with all your help, I think it's possible. Thank you very much. Goodbye.